I want to catch you up now on a story we've been following throughout the day, a remarkable story out of Vancouver where police have spoken publicly about a case of mistaken identity that saw an innocent man getting beaten up by the police. Eric Rankin joins us live from Vancouver with more on this story. So Eric, the Vancouver Police Force just held a press conference. What did they have to say?
Well, Vancouver Police Chief Jim Chu is apologizing very publicly for what happened yesterday morning around 2 a.m. on the east side of the city. He says that he knows it's very upsetting for the family involved. He's very sorry for what happened. Now, what happened was around, again, 2 o'clock in the morning, Vancouver Police, 2 plainclothes officers were responding to an urgent call about domestic violence at a specific address. When they got to the address, though, they knocked on the wrong door. Apparently, they were going for a basement suite and instead got the main floor. They encountered a man, and the man says that the door was kicked in. He was pulled out. Now, Yao Wei Wu was the man who was very badly beaten by the officers, suffering a swollen eye, bruises to his back, scrapes to his knee. He says that he didn't resist arrest and was basically pounded to the ground by these 2 officers who later realized that they had the wrong man.
So I still have a hard time understanding exactly what went on here, because the previous stories we've heard through the day sound like, Eric, that this man was beaten before the identity was determined and before he even had fair warning. Was this a case of alleged resistance of arrest or something?
Well, that's a big part of the controversy right now. Now, of course, there was a language barrier. Yao Wei Wu speaks Cantonese, and the officers, I guess, couldn't really communicate what was going on. They claimed that they identified themselves as police officers. The initial police public release on this said that the man had been resisting arrest, but they very, very quickly recanted and issued 2 more releases, almost unprecedented in VPD history, very quickly saying they were wrong on this. The man was not resisting arrest. Now, this is all the subject of a massive police internal investigation, plus the police complaints commissioner here in the province has been informed about this. But so far, an outside police force has not been brought in to investigate. Jim Chu, the police chief here, though, is promising a full investigation into what happened here.
I bet. All right, Eric, thanks very much for the update. Eric Rankin reporting from Vancouver.
Well, now to a shocking case of mistaken identity gone very wrong. Vancouver police have some explaining to do after arresting the wrong man. They have issued an apology, but the victim says that that is not enough considering what he went through. Mi Young Lee has that story from Vancouver.
This is what mistaken identity looks like. Police were called to this house after a woman called saying she was being beaten by her husband and feared for her baby. It was just after 2 a.m. Yao Wei Wu was asleep in his bed when he heard a loud pounding on the door. He looked through the peephole. The 2 men identified themselves as police.
And the minute he opened the door, without any explanation, they kicked the door, pulled him out, and bash him.
Wu says the beating lasted several minutes. The bones on his face around his eyes are broken. Bruises and lacerations cover his knees. His blood still on the doorstep. Wu doesn't speak English, and he says the police didn't care. He didn't fight back, he says, because the officers had guns. His wife came rushing to the door and fell to her knees at what she saw.
Sit down. Yeah. And
outrage tonight from a man beaten by 2 Vancouver police officers in a case of mistaken identity. An investigation into the incident has cleared the officers of any wrongdoing. Susanna Da Silva spoke with the victim today.
Through a translator, Yao Wei Wu says justice has not been served.
My family and I feel extremely disappointed and angry. I was beaten by the police for no reason at the door of my home.
In the middle of the night, January 21st, Vancouver police pounded on Wu's door, responding to a domestic dispute. But officers were at the wrong suite. They handcuffed Wu and left him with bruises and broken bones in his face. Delta police were asked to investigate.
That the officers were acting in the course of their duties and in good faith. The officers believed that Mr. Wu was the suspect. He was resisting arrest.
And that is where Wu says the investigation got it all wrong. Wu maintains he did not resist arrest and accuses police of using excessive force. At first, VPD said he did resist, but then Chief Jim Chu took that statement back and apologized to Wu.
That's information that probably was premature, and we've clarified the record today.
Today, in a statement, Vancouver police say they got it right the first time.
Police officers believed that they were doing the right thing, that they were protecting a woman who was being assaulted. Mr. Wu was protecting his property, and I have every respect for Mr. Wu. It was an unfortunate situation for him.
But that is not enough for Wu and his supporters.
The concerned group has totally lost faith in the current police system and calls for the government to bring in a truly independent system.
Wu says he is going to launch a civil suit. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Delta.